Hello, hello. Welcome back to the channel. Just D here, and these are just my thoughts. Today's topic: how many of you are celebrating everything, including your little wins? Now, we say little wins because if it's not something that's recognized by hundreds of people or even the people that are close to you, for some reason, that's not a big enough win. But I'm here to tell you that everything that took most of your ability, most of your time, most of your effort to do is a win. Okay? Even your losses are wins. Now I know you're like, wait, what? Losses are a win because they teach you what you need in order to achieve the win. Okay, follow me. Me and my daughter were out this weekend and we were at this huge mega mall here in Vietnam. The reel, I'll try and post the reel up in this video, but the reel is also on my page. And I was basically showing people, the title of the reel is The Real Vietnam. Because growing up in the United States and getting taught, history, they make these countries seem like they're just these beat down, war torn, just messy little countries that don't matter and they just are kind of over here. And then you come here and then you live here like me and you see it is completely different than anything you grew up ever believing. And when you come from a small country or when you come from a small city or when you come from having absolutely nothing to maybe having something, you celebrate everything. Everything. The Vietnamese people here, they celebrated the fact that some boats came back into the port just for no reason on a random, I believe it was Friday night. Nope, Saturday night, excuse me. On a random Saturday night, there were just fireworks going off. There was no holiday, no celebration of the king or anything. It was just a random Saturday. We happened to just be coming out of the mall and I recorded it because I wanted to show people what the real Vietnam looks like, how the real culture is here, how they celebrate everything, whether it's a baby or a marriage or now those are like, bigger celebrations, right? But it could be like the person's fifth baby. Now we know the first baby shower is like, whoa, whoa, maybe even the second one. But the fifth one holds as much weight as the first one. And that's what I love. That's what I love about just life in general. Just understanding that even if nobody else celebrates you, celebrate yourself, you know? Even if nobody sees the work that you're doing, recognize yourself. Recognize that all your time, all your effort, everything that you have tried to achieve and have gotten to. I think we're as a nation, we're just so quick to run to the next thing, right? We finish something, we accomplish it. Let's say we get this degree or we get the certification, and then we're on to the next one. They're like, oh, you got your associate's degree? Great. When are you going to get your bachelor's? Oh, good. You got your bachelor's? Okay. How about your master's? You know what? Now that you got your master's, you should really try and go for your PhD. It's like we're never satisfied with the little wins, right? Which are actually our big wins, right? Because each win gets you to the next level, right? I have a lot of people who ask me, when you left the United States, like it seems like such a big move and such a big deal and such like what did you do? And I was like, I celebrated the small wins. I took 6 months of my life and, plan for it as best you can because no matter how much you plan, you are not ready when you come out here. No matter how much money you save, you're still not ready because things change, right? The only constant is change, right? So you may have studied for this visa and knew about the visa fees or knew about, when you need to get this renewed or how long you can stay in this country or however you want to put that, right? You may have done all this research and then you get there and because of something happening in the world, all of a sudden that 90-day or 180 days, 6 months, or that year visa is now 2 weeks. And in your mind, you're like, oh, I found a place and I found the area I want to live in. And wait, what? Only two. Okay. So then you have to assimilate to what the need is now, right? So in hindsight, did you lose? No. You just had to reroute a couple of things, right? You just had to make a couple of shifts. And I think that's where we get it so mixed up in thinking that if things don't work out exactly the way we think they should, then it's not a win. And that's not true. There have been many things in my life where, like I said, if you watch my first video, I'm a Virgo. I will say that a lot. I say that a lot because there are characteristics about a Virgo that are keen to a Virgo. Now, if you want to do the negative aspect, they say, oh, controlling and this, that, and the third and stuff. And none of that is true, at least not for this Virgo. If you have done the work on yourself, if you have understood that there are different, you are multi-layered, right? Some of us are multi-dimensional. Okay. If you have done the work, then you understand that the way you react and the way people react to you has literally shaped the way your life is, right? But if you take the time and realize that everything doesn't have to be just so, right? Virgos are Mother Earth goddesses, if you want to put it like that. Mother Earth gods, Mother Earth goddesses. We are literally in tune with the earth. So everything that shifts and changes, we're also a mutable sign. Everything that shifts and changes, we move with it, right? And we are the caretakers. That's why one of our love languages is acts of service. We love doing for people, right? But sometimes even to the detriment of self. Be careful with that. So, being the type of person that I am, I have a type A personality. I like things in order and in decency. I like organization. I like things to be clean. Now, that can apply to many different people, many different signs, many different cultures. However, some of us, some of our signs, we take it a step higher. We're down on our knees cleaning those baseboards with a toothbrush, right? Because we're just like, why is there dirt in that corner? It bothers us, right? There was a meme that I watched where they were like life of a Virgo, and it was like one fork was like this and they put the fork back, or one coaster was not in the ring holder of coasters and it was like, need to put that back. Like, you just like things in decency and order. Now that's very helpful. They love Virgos when it comes time to plan your wedding, or plan that big anniversary party, or plan your vacation getaway, because we are refined down to the last detail. We like details, right? But just because something doesn't work out, like I said, we're a mutable sign, we're able to change lanes very quickly. And for some people, that's not easy to do. It's not easy to go from a life where you've been living a certain way, where you've been hanging with the same people, when you've been always around your best cousin. It's very hard to shift and change your life for many people. But here's the thing, most people it's crazy because let me check my notes so that I say this right, because I wrote it down and I want to make sure that I get it right. Most people would rather here it is. I wrote, your loyalty to things that harm you is astounding. Just that sentence right there. Things that are harmful. Let's talk about that. You will stay in a job that is killing you physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. It is hurting your soul. But because you make a certain amount of money, you'll stay there. Or because it's 5 minutes away from your house, you'll stay there. Or because you've been with the company for 10, 15 years, you'll stay there. And the thing that tickles me is that most of the time it's not even catering to your feelings or your wants or your desires. It's, you don't want to rock the boat because you'll hurt the company's feelings, or because of comfortability, or because your best work husband or work wife is there and you don't want to leave them behind. Like, the amount of non self-care that we inflict on ourselves is crazy work. We are so quick to, it's so easy, well, for some of us, don't get it twisted, because there's a lot of takers out there and a lot of selfish people out there, but the amount of giving that most of us are just like, here, no, really, no, here, is crazy work. You will stay in a country that displaced you. You will stay in a relationship that doesn't even serve you in any way, shape, or form. You've just gotten comfortable to coming home to something. Y'all don't even talk anymore. And talking about celebrating even the small things, it could be your birthday and they forgot. It could be, the birth of your child. You'd be amazed at how many partners don't even know what day their child, but they don't even remember what day their child was born or their children were born. You're just going, 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 going. Your partner gets that raise or that promotion at work, and you're like, yay, more money. But where's the celebration for them? Or how about, I used to love when I was in relationships. One of my love languages is words of affirmation and also, what is it? Touch. Okay. I'm a hugger. Anybody who knows me in my personal life, if I love you, if you are in my life in that aspect, I'm hugging you. And everybody loves my hugs because I'm a good hugger. But touch is very important. It's very important, right? Because everything is energy, you know? Everything is a transference, right? It's a currency. How many of you just walk up to your partner or walk up to your kids and just hug them? Yeah, I know. Some of us got teenagers. And sometimes they're like, Mom, and like, oh my God. But deep down inside, they really like it. Deep down inside, they're like, my mom still loves me. My mom still cares enough. My mom still sees me. You may not have all the money in the world. You may not have everything that they've ever wanted and needed. In a world of social media, it's never going to be enough. They're always going to see somebody else has this, somebody else has that, somebody else is doing this, and they're always going to want, right? But the main thing that you can get for free is you. And that's a win. That's a win. When you're able to spend time with your loved ones, that's a win. But you can if you're always at a job. If you're working like I was. In my last video, I talked about this. I was working 70-hour work weeks. Never got to see my kids like how I wanted to. And then when I did get to see them, everything was jam-packed into those couple of days or those couple of hours. And no matter how exhausted I was, no matter how tired I was, I had to push through. You got to push through because they need you. He needs you. They need you. Those people need you. Your job needs you. Your mom needs you. It was always something that was pulling at me that didn't allow me to be in my full self. So when I say, are you celebrating the little wins? Are you celebrating the things that nobody else can see? I'm talking about down to the fact that you're struggling with high functioning depression. But today, you got up and cleaned your whole bathroom. Smells good, mirrors clean, makeup brushes washed, all your little stuff is in its compartments. Showers clean, bathtubs clean, toilets clean, floors clean. And that way, when you walk into that environment to get yourself clean, to get yourself straightened out, you smile because you feel 10 times better. When your atmosphere is clean, when you are able to accomplish even something small as just cleaning your bathroom, that's a win. Celebrate the small things. Celebrate every single win that you get. I don't care what my kids do. My daughter she's high functioning autistic, and she is an avid, avid creator. She draws, she paints. That's how she expresses herself. She's not a real big writer. She's never really liked reading and writing, which is crazy because her mom used to be a chef, and I'm also an English teacher. But she's never acclimated to enjoying books. She'll do it because she has to, but when it comes to creating, she can look at a person and draw them from memory. She's done it many times for my friends. And it's wild. They'll look at him and be like, whoa, that's her gift. And I don't care. Any picture she brings to me, any drawing that she scribbled on the back of an envelope. We could be out and about and she just found a napkin and starts drawing. I don't care. I'm celebrating it because she's dope. And she deserves to be told that. She deserves to celebrate every single win, whether she realizes it's a win or not. You know? It starts from now. It starts from building them up now. And a lot of us, we didn't have those people in our lives that celebrated our wins. Matter of fact, they took our wins and said, okay, now bring me something else that's better than this last win. I remember growing up and our stepmom would, this now remind you, I'm Gen X, so this is back in the 70s. And money was tight, you know. Both my parents worked two jobs each, and they had four kids living at home. There were six of us all together. And it's just wild because we used to get report cards, and depending on what your report card contained, depended on how much money you would get. So back then, $20 was like, whoa. But that meant straight A's, not a single B, straight A's. And if you got a B or a couple B's, then that went down to 10. Or if you got a C, you got $5. So I've always been the book person. I've always been the school person. And I remember, I remember coming home and I had gotten straight A's. I was like, I want to say I was 10, I might have been 11 then, straight A's. And I remember presenting my report card. And I remember the next morning there was an envelope with a card with $20 in it. And I was like, I'm rich. Right. But in the card was a note. You did great this term, this semester. Now let's make sure you keep it up. I don't want to see another B or a C. So all the elation I felt for this huge achievement just went out the window. Because now in my brain, cortisol levels are high because I must be perfect. I must make sure I get this every single time. And if I don't, I'm not worthy of this $20. I'm not worthy to receive that big of amount because how dare I not be this every single time? Yeah, a lot of us went through that. And mind you, some people might look at it and they're like, hey, that's just motivation. That's just them wanting you to stay strong. And it's like, you can understand the motivation, right, behind it. But you can also understand the damage done by making a person who is still developing, 11 years old, still developing, making them feel like they're not worthy unless this one thing happens in this certain way. So you grow up thinking everything has to be a big win. Everything has to be on top. Everything has to be on point. And that's very detrimental on all aspects of just being you're a human being, right? You're a human just trying to be. That's it. So if you've taken nothing from this, if you've listened all the way up to the end, know that it is okay. It's okay to celebrate every little win. The fireworks that we experienced when we went to the mega mall, I asked the security guard, what are the fireworks for? I was like, was it somebody's birthday? Was it, the kings, the queens, the prince, the princess? What's going on? And he literally told me, he said, no. He said, two boats came back into port and they had a big load of fish. That was it. That's, how amazing that is? Like, in their mind, they set off literal fireworks because of a big catch of fish. That's the kind of life I want, where things are just celebrated, where and because you look at it in the bigger picture, like I said, Vietnam's a smaller country, but in their minds, they're like, we can eat like kings and queens for weeks, for days. We can freeze it, we can preserve it, we can dry it out, they're just grateful. They're grateful for a big catch of fish. So grateful that they set off fireworks. I love that. I love that. I'm sorry, I do. Like, it is, I'm not sorry. That is amazing. And it just gave me, everywhere you look, you can see examples of how to be better, of how to elevate your thinking, of how to understand things from a different point of view. My perspective of that was, because of my background was like, oh my goodness, like, did we miss something? Was there like a celebration? Did somebody get married? Or was it, a holiday? Was it a birthday? And they're just like, no, we just can eat good for like the next couple of weeks. Like, I freaking love that. I absolutely love that. But, anyways, I'm going to leave it here. I am on my way to work. It's the afternoon here. It is 3:48 p.m. I am from the state, depending on where you're at in the United States or around the world, I'm about 13 hours ahead of you guys. So, yeah, I'm on my way into work, and I hope you guys have a great and amazing day. I hope your week started off well. I hope that you remember to celebrate all the wins, even if nobody else does. All right, talk to you later.